Hello folks, welcome back again to another episode of Alamo Wealth Builders. This is the Think and Act Wealthy series. We've already talked about the first two of the 10 steps, which is your why and then getting your education straight. Now we're on to the exploration part. Once you've identified your why and now you've got your education underway where you've got your personal development, figuring out all the fundamentals to becoming a better you and understanding best business practices. Now you need to go through exploration. So now you need to identify, where are you going to go from here? Now, as you can see, I've pulled up my fundamentals flowchart. This is something you can download for free on my website, alamowealth.net, and you can go to the store. I think you have to type in your email address when the pop-up prompts you. But as soon as you do that, you'll get an email with a code to get everything for free. So feel free to go ahead and take all that you want, study it, learn it, and hopefully it adds value to your life. So this is one that I want to go over just for this topic. It's the fundamentals flowchart. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's the fundamentals to understanding any business practice. So if you're going to be going into a brick and mortar style business, if you're going to be going into an investment style business, if you're going to be going into sales, self-employment, any kind of business that's going to benefit you on an individual level and not working for another company, this is the fundamentals to that. So it's the building blocks that'll get you started to the next level. We're going to start here with personal development. Okay, we talked about this on the last one. No more music. Devote yourself to podcasts, to audiobooks, to any type of audible self-development that you can listen to instead of music, because music is great, it's fantastic, but if you're trying to get somewhere that's a higher echelon in life, you're not going to get there by just jamming out to music anymore. Okay, so you will need to just save the music for a treat at the end of the week once you've gone through everything that you're supposed to go to. And that's what I do. So I set it up to where I'll listen to all my podcasts in order, like a schedule, and by Friday, when I'm going home at the end of the day, I'm jamming out to music because that's my treat. Because I fulfilled the entire week by listening to my audiobooks and listening to my podcasts, and so I'm treating myself to music at the end of the week of every week. So that's the way I do it, and it's worked out so far. It's been able to keep me on task and on schedule. After you've straightened your music situation out, then you need to go and spend spare time reading books and blogs. So don't go home, don't play video games, don't watch TV. Go sit in the corner of a comfortable place in your house and just start reading some books. Self-development, business related, whatever it is that you're trying to educate yourself on. Now, I would not jump ahead of yourself. So you need to educate yourself first, get your mind right. And then from the mind right books, then you can move on to something that's more tangible. For instance, if you're wanting to open a bar, then you can start reading Bar Ownership for Dummies or whatever book that's out there for that topic. Go to your local meetups and events for your industry. So anywhere that you go, there's meetup.com, there's local events, there's classifieds, there's different conference centers. You can actually ask for their schedule, their agenda for the month or the year, and you'll be able to identify, there's a bar class or a real estate investor group that's coming on Tuesday of next week or whatever. So you'll be able to follow up with that and then go and join those. Those are absolutely necessary to be rubbing shoulders with the right people. Now you can invest in national education events. So once you've completed all that, you can then move on to the national stuff. So the stuff where you'll have big conferences in Vegas or Chicago or wherever you're going to go. And those are typically, it's not that you'll get more information than you could at a local event. It's that you're usually now talking to the bigger of the dogs, the guys like the Tony Robbins and all of them that their name. And they're in the place of their life for a reason. And so going and getting around that kind of culture, it just invigorates you. It breathes a whole different new life, and it just lights a fire under you that you need to get started on the next steps. All right, business establishment right there on the right-hand side. Feasibility and mock-up drafts. So what that is you're just writing on a napkin, could this be possible? It's just cost, revenue, effort, and time. Those are the four things, the four variables that you are going to need in any kind of your calculations for feasibility and mock-up. Concept and outlines. So this is where now you're moving from napkin to paper. You're actually going to be drafting up your idea, trying to really print it out and get it from up here to up here down to paper, okay? Now you're going to be moving on to business plan. From there, you're going to actually have a hard business plan, something that you can tangibly take to your financial prospects, banks, wherever you're going to try to get money to raise for whatever endeavor you're trying to accomplish. Financial projections, that is something you're going to do your own research on. You're going to go and talk to local owners or bars or people that are doing what you're trying to do and just talk to them. Agree to buy them coffee or to buy a meal at their place, and just if they can get 1 minute of their time. Just go and agree to pay for a nice meal and a couple drinks at their establishment or whatever, and ask that you just get 1 minute of their time if while they're there, and have all of your questions ready to go, and then just go through them like, hey, Mr. Owner, I'm so glad that you took the time to talk with me and help me work through this process of understanding how to get started. Here are my questions. Bam, 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 and just go through it, because they'll respect you a lot more when they know you're not there to waste their time. You're not just kind of pulling questions out of your butt. Research, have them down, and then add value, which if they have an establishment like a bar or restaurant, you're sitting down and you're ordering a 3-course menu and getting some nice fine wine, which costs a good $100 or so. That's going to let them know, like, hey, this guy really wants to earn my time, so he's going to want to give you at least a minute. Once you have that down, market research is exactly what it sounds like. You're getting the hard facts that you can get from your local online information, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics and things like that. Depending on where you're trying to go, you can find hard facts to get you all the information that you need to move forward. Analysis is where you have your market research, you have your product research, and now you're analyzing the information that you found to see if it's still a good fit. Because this whole way, you're actually trying to still do the feasibility thing up until the day you start. Is you're trying not to talk yourself out of it, but to find any cracks that may occur and get them filled before you start. Bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is where you're actually going to be starting your own business by yourself, pulling the money out of your boot and starting from scratch. Biz and tax structure, depending on how you're wanting to accomplish your goals, usually starting out as an LLC is the best way to go, and then your tax structure is going to be a C Corp, S Corp, or a like a personal pass-through entity. Once again, I am not a legal counsel, I am not your attorney, a tax consultant, or anything, but just go and talk to your attorney and your tax consultant to get the right information for you. Okay, product development, now you're getting ready to start. You're making your stuff, you're lining up your suppliers and your manufacturers, and you're starting to produce something.
Looks like the battery died. My bad. No matter. That's why we have 2 cameras here.
Market penetration is where you're actually going to be taking your product and trying to put it on the shelves of major companies or local companies. So if you're selling soap, then you need to go talk to your local Target distributors and get some contracts so you can put your bars of soap on their shelves, etc. Massive marketing push. This is where you're going to have most of your money going to. This is where you're going to be promoting yourself on Facebook ads, commercials, local ads, billboards, things of that nature, getting your brand and your name and your product out there to the masses. And then your tracking systems. These are going to be your software programs that allow you to track which marketing is most effective, which areas are most effective, where your product is selling the best, what shelves your product is doing the best on. For instance, if your product isn't selling from Target, but it's selling from Bath and Body Works, then you just identified your best market. And so then you want to make sure that you're making your best markets the happiest. And that kind of leads to the 4 A's. It's analysis, adjustments, adaptation, and application. It's just that simple. A lot of people make this very difficult, very complicated, but it's not. You're just making something and you're selling it and you're trying your damnedest to get it on every shelf you possibly can. It's that simple. And of course, by shelf, I'm metaphorical. We're not all selling soaps. You could be opening up a bar, but still the practice is the same. Infrastructure redesign. So usually 6 months to a year, you're going to identify where your problems are and where you need to change things to better your business, to really hit it home. And it could be anything from board members that are causing problems, maybe some employee change-ups, or it could be your entire marketing strategy and the name brand and the colors you chose. It could be a lot of different things. So you're going to want to reevaluate and make the changes necessary to keep your business moving forward. Critical system support, customer client retention. So at this point, you're going to actually have some employees where they're going to be handling your client retention, customer support, and looking at your website diagnostics and web building and making sure that everything is running smoothly. That way your train doesn't derail and crash. Follow-ups, surveys, and rewards. This is absolutely key. A lot of people do not do this, but you need to follow up with your customers. You need to ask them for surveys and reward them for spending time to do so. And right there at the bottom, established market presence. So at this point, you have made it. You are now a profitable company. You're doing well. Now you can begin fundraising from venture angel partner banks to expand, to grow, and just keep rinsing and repeating. Move from brick and mortar to real estate investing, okay? Because I know that's what most of you guys are most interested in. So, getting started, you're typically started in wholesaling. However, I got started in flipping, and then wholesaling was secondary, and then other things, passively. So it's not set in stone that everyone's going to start in wholesaling. And I know that a lot of people say that, and a lot of people read that. How do you get started in real estate? Wholesaling. Not necessarily. In fact, I found when the market wave was riding up, it was a lot easier to make a lot more money flipping and wholesaling, crowded market, and it was everywhere, and everyone was doing it, and everyone was typically making about the same amount of money. So why would I want to join in when flipping was a lot harder, and it was more of a niche market because you needed the talent to be able to properly flip properties. And so I was able to make a good amount of money doing that instead of wholesaling. And then when properties came across that I would buy in cash and I didn't really want it, or maybe I had too many properties on my plate, then I would wholesale it off. But typically when I wholesale, I don't wholesale contracts or sign contracts. I buy the property, hold title, and then I figure out what I want to do with it. But if you're wanting to get started and you don't have any money, then wholesaling is definitely the best option. Especially when you're reading the market, and if the market is, the wave is going up, then wholesale is always going to be great, and flipping is going to be even better. But if the market is stagnant or going down, retreating, then wholesaling is still going to do okay, but flipping is not going to do good at all. So it's also understanding the markets and reading the markets to be able to pick which pathway you're wanting to go down. So get in front of sellers or agents, get known as a local house buyer. So if you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times, I buy houses. So everyone's saying this, everyone's got it on billboards, on signs, on their cars, it's everywhere. And the reason being is because that's how you get started in wholesale. You're not buying the house. It says I buy houses or we buy houses, but technically they're not. They're trying to get your house under contract so they can assign it to someone that will buy it so they can make a little sliver of the pie. Some wholesalers are a little bit more greedy than others, but the ones that know what they're doing, run their numbers right, and they take a little bit less so that way they can make their end buyer more happy, are typically the ones that stay in the game. Negotiate the deals between 70 and 75% of ARV after the repair estimate. Get it under contract. So right now, that used to be 65 to 70% was the typical, but that was when after the crash and the wave, the market was dried out, and it was definitely a seller's market. It was a lot easier to get properties at the right price. Nowadays, it's a buyer's market, and it's very saturated. So getting deals at 65% is going to be extremely difficult, especially when these owners have probably already talked to 3 or 4 or 5 different wholesalers that have offered them a lot more. So that's when you need to be able to connect, be personable, and build that relationship with the seller so you can get their property under contract at the right price. That way you can make sure that you can assign that contract and make a profit. Advertise your contract at your local RIA events and meetups. Get your product in front of as many people and as many potential buyers as possible. Sign your contract. So remember, you are not selling anything. The only way that you can say you're selling something, selling a property, is if you are a licensed agent that has listed the property for sale, or you are a title holder. You own the property. Then you can say, I'm selling my property. But if you're just assigning the contract, you have to open that up. You're assigning your equitable interest in this contract. Over time, create systems to streamline this process. So the best of us have created and delegated and made these systems, these work systems, work for us so we're not working for them. And that way the butter is churning and we just get to enjoy the taste. So that getting there is a topic for another day, and we'll get there in a future video, I'm sure. All right, let's talk about flipping. Obtain the deal between 70 and 75% of ARV after the repair estimate. Obtain the funding and close the deal. It's that simple when you're getting started. Usually you're going to get these from the wholesalers. 75 to 70% of the ARV. ARV, if you remember, if you haven't seen, please, I'll set a link up here to go visit the keywords episode where you'll learn the fundamental keywords for real estate investing. ARV is after repair value, which means that it's the value of the property that we assume it will be after you add certain repairs that are comparable to the other properties that are in your subdivision or in your local market. So once you obtain the funding, that's always the question, well, where do I get the money for this? Money is everywhere, guys. And we'll discuss that. If you actually want to know now, please visit the website that I told you, alamowealth.net. There's a free download on who's got my money or how do I get my money. And you're more than welcome to take that and read it, and it'll tell you exactly how you can find your money. As you have noticed, a lot of times you'll see online that people are always got fancy graphics and all this stuff, and they put money into it. They want to bedazzle you. I just throw the meat in here, and it's kind of ugly, but I throw meat, all right? Meat is where you're going to get all your protein, so you can grow and become tall and powerful. So please, ignore the fact that it looks childish, but it's packed with information, and if you're wanting to know any more information, detailed information, please leave comments. I will reach back out to you and answer your questions. Find an accountable contractor. Good luck. All right, so seriously, contractors, kind of like property managers when you own property, they can make or break a business. And putting that kind of responsibility and that trust in someone that has most likely 9 times out of 10 taken advantage of other people before you, is extremely tough. So the best flippers know their stuff. So if you don't know anything about how to build a house properly or the code, study up, educate yourself, because they will cut corners and they will take advantage of you. Also, if you have a connection to a family member or a friend that you've known for years and you trust with your life, then they may be a good person to start with. Do not, if you trust them, do not undermine them. Do not pay them less. Take care of them, okay? And they'll take care of you. But do not ever overpay or pay too much to start and then get screwed in the end. It happens all the time. It's very important that you come to an expectations list and you have your scope of work and you have your draw plan. A draw plan is you're going to get paid this much at this time when this much is completed, period. And you stick to that. And if you both have a respectable relationship, they should understand just like you'll understand. There are variances. Sometimes things just come up. So be ready to accept change orders, which is, maybe they didn't see that the entire electrical in the house needed to be redone. That's going to be a change order, and it's going to be an expense you're going to have to incur to get it up to code. But just take care of each other, and hopefully everything works out. Establish a binding scope of work and hold money until completed jobs can be verified by proper inspections. There you go. Inspections passed, release the funds, hold 10% until final inspection for closing. So most people, they do what's called a half and half. Don't ever do that. Most popular is called a 1/3 draw, which is 1/3 to start, 1/3 at the 75% mark, and then another third upon completion. I don't do that. Just from past experience, I like to do a 10% to start, and then a percent completion at 50% or 60%, usually it's around there, to butter up their pockets so they can pay their employees. Usually it's about a week or two, and then they get that full chunk payment for 50 or 60% when they get to 50 or 60%. And then when they get to 100%, I only release 90% of the entire funds until I can get my own inspector, third-party inspector in there to really criticize their work. And I can tell you 6 out of 10 times, that inspector finds something that I would never have seen. And then maybe the homeowner, 3 years down the road, something bad would have happened, and they would have tried to find me to sue me. So always hold that back until you can get that final inspection and then release the last 10%. Begin staging and listing the property for sale. List property 5K under the best highest comp. So if you have found a property, and also when you're dealing with wholesalers and they say the ARV is 230K, but you found in the neighborhood that's most likely 225K, then you're going to want to go with 220K as your number. That's your top cap number. That gives you a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of buffer zone in case the market does agree with the typical way it goes. And even if you list it at max of 225, typically it's going to be sitting there and it's going to get negotiated down anyway. So if you go in starting with the mindset that you're going to be about 5 or 10K underneath what the current highest projection is, then you're safe for when that actually happens. Find a title company and double check HUD and junk fees. Close and sell the property. So once you're done rehabbing, once you've listed it and you've got a buyer, now you're going to title and you're going to close out your sale. They're going to find that it's clear title, and when you get the HUD, it's going to have a breakdown of all of the expenses and the earnings and what you're going to get and what's taken out and who's getting paid and blah, blah, blah. Make sure you comb through that. Title companies are fallible, and they do make mistakes. So a lot of times they make mistakes of, oh, we agreed on a $400 fee, but you put $800 in here. So here's the email where we agreed about it a month ago, and can you please update that? And it happens a lot. And it's not so much to where they're trying to screw you, it's just that's their typical rate maybe, and they worked a different rate for you because you've closed 3 properties this year. You know, it could be a multitude of variables. So just be open, check your numbers, and just be very polite when you request changes. All right, private funding. Private funding has an inherent risks, and you should only partner with people that can safely mitigate the risks. So asking Uncle Bob for $100 grand to buy a house might seem like a great idea, especially when he's like, yeah, sure, just pay me 5%. That's a fantastic deal. But what if you screw up? Now Uncle Bob hates your guts. Even if you're family, he's not. There's going to be bitterness, and Thanksgiving's going to suck. So even if it's a professional private lender like me, if you came and sat down with me before I knew any of this, and I said, you know what, you sound like a sharp kid, and you're eager, and you want to get this going. Here's $100 grand. Then you screw me, and you lose the money. Now I've got to figure out how am I going to get my money back, and it just comes into problems. So to save both of us, work with people that have done this, that have the experience. So if you came and sat down with me now, I could walk you through step A to step Z and get this whole process done and make sure that you're profitable and that I'm profitable. That way we both can succeed in the future. Always establish medium, long-term rapport with someone before you plan on investing with. Verify with their credibility and their worthiness. So you don't just go to Joe Schmo in the corner and say, hey, let's work together. You need to establish a relationship with people, because you're not going to realize that most people might not align with your pathway or align with your personality or align with your strategies until you sit down and you get to know them better. And it could be a really long coffee conversation, or it could be over a series of time of getting to know them at local RIA events or meetings. Partnering and investing can be emotional. Stay focused on the numbers and the influential criteria. Stay professional. So, yes, I love this house. I love the way it looks. Oh, the front entrance is so great, blah, 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 blah. No. Do not picture houses like you're going to be living in them, okay? Do not get emotional. You simply look at the numbers. Be very, very logical, like Spock. Go back to the episode 1 where I have Spock, live long and prosper. You can only do that by staying logical. And if you get emotional in things, you'll mess up relationships, and you'll mess up your deals, and you'll mess up everything. So just stay logical, stay reasonable, and practice the best methods. Understand the terms, risks, and returns to make the best decision. So once you've got the knowledge, once you've got the education, you're going to sit down with whoever you're pulling the money from, and you're going to acknowledge, this is my goal. I want to rehab this property so I can refinance it, add it to my rental portfolio, and then I will rent it out. Here's how it works. If this doesn't work, if the market changes, these are my backups. So contingency A is that I just flip it and get it on the market quickly before the market turns. Or B, I owner finance it. There's a whole bunch of different strategies. Sit down with whoever you're going to be working with and talk it out. Right there. So I hope that you guys have learned a lot. I've actually been sick. I'm feeling under the weather today. And I read an article this morning where whiskey, science has proven that whiskey can turn a cold. So don't need another excuse more than that. So this episode is all about exploration. And if you don't know my story yet, please visit my podcast. It's on my website, alamowealth.net. Listen to that episode. I've gotten a lot of good remarks out of it. I think you'll enjoy it. But just a little quick roundup of how I got to exploring is back in high school, I knew I was an entrepreneur. I knew I worked, the longest I worked at a job, I think, was 7 months. I was not an employee person. And so I went out trying dozens of different things, selling cologne, selling door-to-door thing, joining Amway, which actually was the biggest fundamental change in my entire life. I got lucky on a couple things where I made a lot of money, and then I lost all that money, and so then I tried other things, and by failing through life, I learned an incredible amount, and taking that knowledge and applying it to other businesses and startups allowed me to benefit them more than it ever benefited me. So they didn't have to go through the mistakes. And so exploring oneself is absolutely vital if you're going to make the right decisions for your future. For instance, I owned some bars, and I learned I hated it, just like flipping houses. I do not like flipping houses. It's not fun for me. I do not enjoy it, but I'm good at it, and it makes me a lot of money. And so owning them, owner financing, all the different strategies, there's always a give and take with everything. So know that if you're leaving your job, if you're trying to quit and be on your own, that's great and that's admirable, but it might not be what you think. So just be ready for it and stay focused and stay on track and really explore who you are. Thanks. We'll see you on the next one.